Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and today we will be asking the question, did the Broncos make the right move by releasing Russell Wilson? So if you want to hear more about this, stay tuned right after this. Once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock, and we have a genuine discussion to talk about here, and that is if Russell Wilson getting released from the Broncos was the right move for the Broncos organization and the team overall, as the Broncos took on an $85 million dead cap hit. That is insane. That is the highest amount of dead cap taken by any team by a single player, and previously the first place person for that, I believe, was Matt Ryan, and I think that was in the 40 million range. So it doubled. We more than doubled the highest amount of dead cap hit, but that just shows you how much Russell Wilson just wasn't working, how he wasn't going to mesh with Sean Payton, and it just seemed like Russell Wilson's time just needed to go. And we all kind of saw it coming anyways. So the Broncos, I'm going to pull it up right now. So the Broncos, we're going to compare the 2023 and 2024 season stats compared to the 2024-2025 season stats of the Broncos offense. And these are the major offensive statistics. So for scoring offense, the Broncos had 21 points per game last year, which is 19th, which is terrible, which is bottom half of the league, by the way. Average yards per game was 298.4 yards per game, which is 26th. That's also horrendous. Passing offense was 191.9 yards per game, which was 24th. That's also horrible. And then the rushing offense, I like to put rushing just to see if maybe the quarterback had some help, because the running game does apply to the offense very significantly. And that was 106.5 yards per game, which was 18th in the league. That's really bad. And then let's move forward to 2024-25 with Bo Nix as the quarterback and a little bit different offense, but the scoring offense was 23.5 points per game, which is 14th, top half of the league. Average yards, or I guess middle of the pack. Average yards per game, 320.2 yards per game, which is 21st. Not very good. Passing offense, 209 yards per game, 21st. And then the rushing offense is 111.2 yards per game, which was 20th in the league. So the Broncos overall, based off of the stats, technically got better. And a lot of people may debate, the Broncos didn't have a great O-line last year. Yes, they did. They have basically the same O-line last year compared to this year, other than the center, and that was Lloyd Cushenberry. And you could debate Lloyd Cushenberry is a better center than what we have now, which is Luke Wattenberg. Okay? Russell Wilson had no excuse of having a bad O-line. The running game was essentially the same as last year, as it is this year, so that's not an excuse. And the offense got better with Bo Nix. Is that a coincidence? I think not. I think Bo Nix just has been outperforming him. And let's just go into this, just the comparison of the two quarterbacks. So Russell Wilson's last year's stats compared to Bo Nix's stats this year. And I'm going to pull that up as well right now. So Russell Wilson had 370 passing yards. He had 26 passing touchdowns. And he had 8 interceptions. He also rushed for 341 yards with 3 touchdowns, which were rushing touchdowns. And then he played 15 games played. He had a 7-8 record. But the big thing I want to point out here is Russell Wilson took 45 sacks last season. Now, let's jump ahead to Bo Nix with a similar O-line. Keep that in mind. Not a similar, the same O-line other than the center, which, like I said earlier, Cushenberry was literally a better center. Bo Nix has, right now, as of now, after 13 games, he has 2,842 yards, 17 passing touchdowns. He also has 8 interceptions. He has rushed for 304 yards. He has 4 rushing touchdowns. He also has a receiving touchdown. I didn't put that on the thing, but he does have a receiving touchdown. He played 13 games played. He has an 8-5 record as of now. So he's already beaten Russell Wilson when it comes to wins. And he's only taken 19 sacks. And I know there's still 4 games left, but he would have to take like 26 sacks in 4 games to even tie Russell Wilson's sack thing. Bo Nix, in my opinion, has been the right move. I don't think the Broncos made a mistake by moving on from Russell Wilson, because Bo Nix not only has been showing sparks, he's led to more wins. He's taken less sacks, which a lot of people were saying, oh, the Broncos just don't have a good O-line. They have the same O-line. The Broncos are now a top half O-line, because one thing Bo Nix likes to do is get rid of the ball early, and he gets rid of the ball quick and efficiently. Russell Wilson liked to extend the play. He liked to move out, which led to more sacks, which also led to just worse possessions. And the Broncos just led to less scoring. As we saw, the Broncos are scoring 24.8 points per game right now this season compared to their 17.9 points per game last season. The Broncos just overall have been just a better team offensively. And you could debate maybe the Broncos have a little bit better of a defense this season than last year, but it really wasn't that much. I mean, like, yes, the stats say significantly different, like the Broncos defense is night and day better this season. But the last season, the Dolphins game really just like inflated those stats, honestly. But like overall, Bo Nix has been a much better fit for Sean Payton. He's been a much better fit to just throwing to wide receivers. I believe Courtland Sutton already has more receiving yards this season than last season. Maybe not as many touchdowns, but like, come on, man. Like, Sutton is being used in the offense so much more, and so are so many other weapons. And that's what I really love to see from Bo Nix. Now, that was Russell Wilson last year. Let's talk about Russell Wilson this year. So Russell Wilson this year as a Steeler, now, I do have to say, Justin Fields did play the beginning of the season, so not all of these stats apply to him when it comes to the overall offense. But let's just read it for the Steelers' overall offensive stats right now. First off, they're 10-3. Like, shout out to the Steelers. They're playing phenomenally. Their defense also looks tremendous, and they're the reason why they're this good, in my opinion. The offense is being very complimentary, but, like, their defense is legit. Their scoring offense is 24.8 points per game. Sorry, I apologize. The Broncos' offensive points per game was 21 points per game, and then there's last season, and then 23.5 points per game this season. So I read the wrong list. I apologize. They still are improving, by the way. I just wanted to clarify that because I made a mistake there. That's my bad. I read the Steelers' offensive points per game. So their scoring offense this season for the Steelers has been 24.8 points per game. Their average yards per game has been 338.1 yards per game. Their passing offense has been 206 yards per game, and then their rushing offense has been 132.1 yards per game. Overall, the Steelers have been a very solid team offensively, kind of middle of the pack offense, so not anything crazy, but they've been improving compared to last season, which I'll pull up the stats right now so you could just read that real quick. But overall, Russell Wilson this season alone has thrown for 1,784 yards. He's thrown 12 touchdowns passing, and he's rushed for 44 yards and a touchdown. He has 3 picks, and he's already taken 19 sacks in 7 games. I kid you not. Russell Wilson just loves to take sacks. I mean, you think about it. Bo Nix has taken 19 sacks all season in 13 games, and in 7 games, Russell Wilson has taken 19 this season alone. This proves that Russell Wilson was the problem when it comes to sacks. It's not just the O-line, it's Russell Wilson. He likes to get sacked. I don't know why. He just likes to extend the plays, and half the time it doesn't work because he gets sacked. Because, well, he makes the wrong decision. Russell Wilson, you need to get the ball off quicker. That's what you need to do. But overall, Russell Wilson, he's been helping the team for the Steelers, though. He's been very beneficial for the Steelers. The Steelers have him at a very low contract. I believe there's talks that he might just re-sign with the Steelers, which is probably smart. Just get him on like a two-year deal. Don't overpay him like we did. That's a bad mistake we made. But anyways, if I were to say who won this overall situation, whether it was the Broncos or the Steelers, I think it was a win-win. I think the Broncos got themselves a younger, more Sean Payton-friendly quarterback. in Bo Nix. And then I think the Steelers got themselves a guy that's going to help them compete for the playoffs and be a team that could be somewhat legit, I guess. So in my opinion, Sean Payton got his guy in Bo Nix. That's a win. And then Mike Tomlin got, I guess, his guy at quarterback in Russell Wilson. So, I mean, it's a win-win for both teams. The Broncos needed to go younger. They needed to go into a slighter rebuild, which has been kind of moving faster than we thought, which because of their 8-5 start and a potential playoff appearance for the first time in like 10 years, it feels like. Yeah, I mean, like, overall, this is a win-win. It's very hard to get those situations where it is a win-win. And a lot of people were saying the Broncos were only going to win 3 games. So, I mean, shout out to Bo Nix, but also shout out to Russell Wilson for helping that Steelers team. But overall, let me know what you guys think. How do you think the Steelers did adding Russell Wilson? And how do you think the Broncos have done moving on from Russell Wilson and getting Bo Nix? Let me know what you guys think down below. But that is going to be the end of today's episode. I apologize if I stumbled a couple times and made a few mistakes. I've been having a hard week and just hard couple of weeks overall. But we're getting there. We're getting better. And I know God is in control. But first off, have you subscribed? I just looked recently and only 54, roughly around 54% of you are subscribed that are watching this video are watching these videos. And 46% of you are not subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. It's completely free. Just go down below, hit the red button. Hit the subscribe button, like the video. Let me know what you guys think, and comment down below. Like I said earlier, did the Broncos win? Did the Steelers win? Or was it a win-win like I think? So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Sports Talk with JWock. If you feel free to check me out on Instagram at sportstalkwith_JWock3. You can also check me out on TikTok. We haven't posted recently, but we're going to be working on that. I know I said that for the past couple of weeks, but we are, I promise. It is at Sports Talk with JWock. And you can check me out on Facebook. You'll have to search my regular name, Jonah Walkenfoos, but you can usually find the profile picture, and it should be the logo of this podcast. So you can check that out for also news if you don't have things like Instagram or TikTok. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure to stay tuned weekly. I post every single week on Fridays at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode. God bless. Have a great week.